Hey everybody, welcome back to the Coworking Values Podcast. I'm Emily Breeder and I'm talking to my business partner and all-around swell guy, Bernie J. Mitchell. Bernie, what are we doing today?
We are talking about European Coworking Day, and we're talking about our event. It's called Running Events in Coworking Spaces, which is on an online event series we're doing on Luma to help people in co-working spaces and flexible workspaces and neighborhood workspaces get together and talk about how to run whatever they're going to do on European Coworking Day. And what we keep saying is it's not about European Coworking Day, even though it is. It's about connecting with each other to help elevate the understanding in the public consciousness of co-working. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people out there, especially in the United States, have no idea what co-working is. I have a very difficult time sometimes explaining to people what my job is. But what we're doing here, this event series we're doing, we don't make any money from it. This is a free event. Anyone can join. What we're trying to do here is get the message out there that without community, you're not going to sell any desks. That co-working space owners and managers, they have to be focused on revenue. Obviously, you need that income. You got to keep the building open and get all your staff paid and make sure you have all those amenities paid for. But unless you have that underpinning of the community, it's going to be really, really difficult. And then you end up using paid ads to get people in events, and you're really struggling to find out who your core audience is. And that's kind of an upside down way of doing it. So in our event series, we're talking about a 3-step framework to fill your event without having to pay for ads or anything. So that's the kind of what we wanted to talk about today. And in these sessions, one of the things we start with is to start with a clear outcome. So Bernie, if we start with a clear outcome, what is it that we want attendees to do?
I think a lot of it is people know why they're coming. And one of the conversations we were having last week in our workshop was, why would people give up their time to turn up to that event? So one person, they have this lunch and it works really well. And then they have a evening members networking thing and it doesn't work so well. And one of the reasons is there's a lot of parents in that co-working space. So, both of us are parents, and at that stage of our children's lives, for us to, say they're like 7 or 8 years old, for us to stay at our co-working space and socialize versus go home and be with our children, it has to be really, quite something to give up that time. And a lot of time people, and I'm sure you haven't, Emily, but we've had a great idea for an event, posted it and not really known who it's for and why they should be here. And now more than ever, you need to be very, very specific. So, if you're an event for co-working space members may be one thing, but an event for founders in a co-working space or freelancers in a co-working space or childless freelancers in a co-working space will be, the why people are actually going to be giving up their time and sitting in the room needs to be very clear. And you see people call it, is it like, what's in it for me? And we're all very nice and community and everything, but people need those clear, like, what am I going to get out of coming here? Donald Miller, who, did all the story brand stuff, he says people need to when they see a message, they've got to work out very quickly, subconsciously, is that going to help me thrive and survive? And that's why you need a clear outcome for your event.
Right. And that outcome might be, it has to be in core of your message too, that you're putting out there. If you just say, we're having an event in our co-working space and there's going to be free drinks and free food, you're going to get a lot of people who are just going to be there for the free drinks and the free food because that's what you featured. But if you feature something like meet other freelancers who live locally or find a project partner over coffee, that's pretty clear. It gives people an idea of what they're going to do there and what they're going to walk away with. And that they walk in and they say, oh, there's drinks here too. That's just sort of an added benefit. It gives you the feeling that you're in a welcoming space. Because of course, co-working is about hospitality at its core.
Yeah, I think there's another bit here, which is I find myself talking with people more and more, and as the economy gets tighter and everything like that, is if you're like selling this, you should come because there's free food. Is a vibe, and I think people are more. My feeling is people are more like deadly serious about stuff than ever, so they need to see like this is I'm coming here and really the free food is a bit of an add-on. It's a gimmick. What is this going to do? How is this community going to happen? So like to accelerate that thought is like, would people fight to keep your co-working community going? And that's the kind of level we need to find a way to get to. I know that sounds quite dramatic, but if you're just like gimmicking it, there's not a lot of space in the world for gimmicks anymore, partly because of tight budgets and partly because of like people are so strained and at the end of their tether with the universe and life that offering real connection value to move everything forward is the most important thing.
Yeah, and gimmicks are everywhere. So you're competing with the flashiest gimmick, and that's not actually what you're offering. You're offering community. That's the whole appeal of a co-working space is community, is that you don't know who you're going to meet that might help you close the next deal or be your next business partner or give you that contact that you really needed and didn't know that you needed.
There was one more story on this in London. There was, I don't know. There's one I definitely know of, and I'm sure there are a few more. And this co-working space offered, it was a brand, and it offered yoga and free beer and loads of things which they couldn't deliver during COVID, and people weren't allowed in the building and all this kind of stuff. And then some of their members ended up taking them to court because they said, "Well, we can't use all this stuff which we paid for. You sold it to us, and so we want a discount." And the co-working space was like, "No, you signed a contract to pay this much, and it's out of our control why you can't get to that stuff." And then I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but basically, members in that co-working space took that company to court and won, and had the drop in their membership. And then there were lots of spaces, including the one I was with, where we still couldn't go to the building, but we kept paying our rent because we knew the owners and we wanted to keep that community going. And the owners did deals and stuff like this and helped people out who couldn't afford it. But it was amazing how people went to war with this big corporation and didn't go to war with their neighborhood co-working space. And I think that says a lot for the power and value of a community.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the reason why, you and I only work with, smaller and independent co-working spaces. This is where community happens. Once you step it up to this, mega chain, international corporate level, it begins to lose the community aspect entirely. It becomes homogenous. It becomes it becomes a different beast entirely. It becomes a big office building.
With 90-day payment terms.
Right. So let's go on to the promo part of it. When you first start promoting, what's the first kind of group of people that you should contact?
Activate your inner circle first. I'll just message a few people saying we got this on, and the people I do this with are used to it now, and I know that they're into the game. So it's not like I just hit everyone up randomly and say, "Can you sign up to this? Are you coming? Can you make it?" And it has to be like, Emily, we're doing this online event. Can you come? I'd like you to talk about living in Ohio when you come to this event, so you know that it's very personal. It's not like I've copied and pasted stuff. It's not like one of those LinkedIn cold outreach things that spell your name wrong and say, "I've had a look at your website and it looks like it would be a great fit." When I know they're selling you space suits and you're own a haberdashery shop. Um, so you get that core team and core gathering, and then those people will start to invite other people or spread the word or say, "Are you going this?" or at least have it blocked out in their calendar. And I find that when I know if these 10 people are coming, I know that event is going to be going in that direction. But if these 10 people are coming, it's going to be a little bit more of a vibe. And you start like building the blocks of the people that are going to come to the event. So I normally end up with like those 10 people, and then I find like the next five, and then after that we get to the next phase. But is there anything you want to add into there?
Now let's move on. So let's talk about sort of your promo rituals, the things that you do on a daily basis to promote an event so that it's not overwhelming.
It has to be um, easy to see online. And we went through this phase with the London Coworking Assembly where we loved making nine event posters that looked like 90s rave posters. And I
Mm.
know some people didn't like them, but the people I liked loved them. And we did that because a lot of the people who we were, I, I love London, and we both like rave music and house music and everything like that. And
Mm.
a lot of the people that would come to events, we'd end up talking about London in the 90s. And then those conversations came to like Bagley's and Fabric and Ministry of Sound and all these like clubs that emerged in. I've got to stop my list of clubs going off there. All these clubs that were in London in the 90s, and that was the connection point. So making a cheesy poster that looked like it could be stuck to a train station wall worked really well. So that was the visual. And on LinkedIn, in a sea of Canva templated event posters, it worked really well. So people see something and it gets this identity. I mean, one way to think about that is those of you that remember when the iPod came out, there was that silhouette against the striking, like fluorescent colors, and the person with the dreadlocks, and that was iconic, and you could see that now and go, "Oh, I know what that is," and that's the kind of thing we were going for. You need to find a way to. You can't email people every day because obviously that's you just can't. So you need to find
It's
a way to
counterproductive.
counterproductive. Exactly. You need to find a way to get on people's radar every day without being annoying, and that's a real kind of businessy term here. You need to stay top of mind. So you just jump between different platforms and different communication methods. I use a CRM called Nimble, and it's changed a bit now. It's gone more into like an email thing, but you used to be able to go down a list of people, and some people I would only communicate by email, and in those days, some people I would only communicate by Twitter. But I was able to like tailor the same message to each person on the platform that I communicate with them best, so it would get through much quicker. Whereas a lot of people, if I social media them, they check social media like once every 2 days. Whereas like Alan, my accountant, checks email every day and never goes to Twitter. So again, you can see how I'm like being really, really personal here and meeting people where they are, and not saying, "Oh, I put it in Slack and no one answered," is a really poor excuse at this stage of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that a lot of people listening, and I'm definitely on board with this part of it here, is listening to all this, it already sounds kind of like too much work, too overwhelming. I've got too many other things to do, but it's important to remember. You start with the clear outcome, that sort of picture in your head. This is what people will be doing there. Meet other freelancers who live locally, or whatever that clear outcome is. Then you activate your inner circle, all those people that you really want to be there, the game changers, the people who will bring other people there. And those will be personal invitations. You might only have to message them once or twice. And then you do the promo rituals.
Quite often, events you do in co-working spaces are free or part of the membership or something like that. And what I've found over the years is people would rather, like, if you charge people, I don't know, £5, £20 to come to something, they would rather walk through the pouring rain than lose their £5 or £20. So, but when you do free events, there's always a drop off. So, can you say about the percentage drop off?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I have a background in event technology, and the app that I used to work for, it focused on word of mouth marketing. So we got some really interesting multi-level data about how many people tend to attend events, how many people accept invites, and that kind of thing. And there's a very consistent 30% rule. And this is over all sizes of events, small, large, thousands of people, a dozen people, it doesn't matter. About 30% of the people that you invite will accept your invitation, and about 30% of the people who accept your invitation will attend. You need to aim for a number that is an order of magnitude kind of larger than you actually need. And that might seem overwhelming too, but just remember that a lot of the people that you will invite are not actually going to be your ideal audience. So it's kind of low risk in a way. You invite that core group of people, about 30% of them will attend, and then they might invite people and 30% of those people will attend. So it kind of echoes out from that core audience, and then you build on it with each successive reminder or update.
Yeah, and you need to remind people that they're coming. So if someone, I still I put everything in my Google Calendar. I'm religious about it. I check it like 4 times a day, and every so often I'll get thanks for coming, and I've missed something, and um, it's just crazy how people forget to do things. So, reminding people you're actually doing them a favor. And the other thing I do, which is to sort of add on to what we're talking about here, is every so often I will send out an email that says, if this is not okay for you anymore, if you're not interested in this, if this isn't life changing for you, please unsubscribe. And it will be totally okay if you unsubscribe. We'd rather you unsubscribe than open things you don't want to. And then you keep your core audience on your email or wherever you're doing it relevant, and you'll likely get more people showing up because they are more in tune with what you're putting out. But sending those reminders is really important. And we use Luma. We used Eventbrite for a long time, and then Meetup for nearly 15 years. But Luma is the best bits of both, and it has an email system in it that is, when I say very easy to set up, if you know how to use that kind of gear, it's easy to set up and it's pretty intuitive anyway. So if you can send something from MailChimp, you can work out Luma. And it sends automatic event reminders and stuff like that. And I don't manage to do this every time, as some of you will know, but I like to go in and personalize that so it doesn't look like. Do you remember in the days of LinkedIn where someone would connect with you and it would say, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn? And it was so horribly impersonal. It kind of killed the relationship before it started. So reminding people, keep inviting people, so because you know there'll always be a drop off, and you don't want to like send one email, have 10 people say yes they're coming, and not tell anyone else about it ever, and then only have 2 people in the room, because it hurts.
So essentially, we start with the countdown reminders, 7 days, 2 days, the day of. We have some stories, behind the scenes posts about why you're excited, and you just need to be consistent about it. You can do it for one event, you can do it forever. It's really a good idea for co working space managers to just do it consistently as part of your routine, those sort of daily rituals that you do. Because if you do it in that sequence consistently, when you do have an event to promote, then you just fold it into your normal routine. And it actually is a benefit because then you have new content to talk about.
And one of the best ways to get people to, I'm going to say, connect with your co-working community, because when they've connected, they'll start to feel at home there, and then coming and taking a desk or hot desking or whatever they're going to do is like the next logical step. And even now, I still meet people that think that they can send an email and people will book a desk, because like the amount of commitment it is to go, I am going to go and decide to pay money to sit in a room for about 8 hours every weekday with a group of people I hardly know is not a, I know, I don't think many people do that. So, and most of the people who we work with are either own their co-working space or they're a neighborhood co-working space, and it's very much about that interconnection and interdependence rather than like I landed in a new city and I need to sit down and crack open some emails before my meeting. So getting people connected is the first part of the whole experience.
So to wrap everything up here, Bernie's going to have links to everything in our show notes. He's very proud and pleased with the show notes. I'm always very proud and pleased with him for doing them. We want everyone to know that we're here to help you build your communities. It's our big thing. We want to make sure that everybody has a really tight-knit, engaged community around their co-working space, because once you have that, selling those desks becomes super easy. In addition to the event series that we've talked about on this, we also have our Community Builders Cohort, which gives you all the support you need if you've got a period coming up where you have a lot of extra work to do, where you have a huge changes happening in your personal or professional life and you really want to stay on top of things. We are here to support you. They go in 3-month sessions, 2-week sprints, and ongoing support in between those sprints. Do you want to say anything about that, Bernie?
I just want to fanboy the 12-week segment. And why it's 12 weeks and 3 months is because obviously we work in business quarters. But in 2018, we ran a group, which is kind of it'd be a bit far to claim it was the origins of the Community Builder Cohort. But there's a group of freelancers, consultants, and independent workers. And we would meet at 9 a.m. on Monday in Outwork Hubs, and it was called Not So Manic Monday. And the 12-week yearbook had just come out, and we followed that. And since August 2018, me and my friend Karen, every Monday morning have had a WAM, which is a weekly accountability meeting, and we followed that 12-week thing. And so that's since 2018, and we're recording this in 2025. And what we found is that this really worked for me as like some neurodivergent creative guy. Is like working in 12-week chunks and saying I'm only committing to these 3 things. More often I'll get those 3 things done, or at least 80% of those 3 things, and every so often something just won't work at all. And just, I don't want to make it sound like a huge productivity play, but in sort of like a life cycle, ticking things off as you go along, and building the blocks of a career and a profession, and in this case a co-working space. It's a really nice circle to be part of.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Bernie, and thank you to everyone listening. Any final words, Bernie?
Just go to those show notes, folks. There's the link to the LinkedIn co-working community group, which Claudius is talking a lot about the European Coworking Day in. There's obviously a link to sign up to European Coworking Day. And there's about 200 podcasts that we've published over the years on our Substack, which is where you'll actually find this, and there'll be a link in the show notes to that too. Okay, thank you very much for your time and attention today. Anything else, Emily?
Nope. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Be careful out there. It's a jungle.